Imagine this, the Earth suddenly loses its gravity for just 10 seconds. Cars, buildings, even swimming pools, all floating in midair. What would really happen? Would chaos take over, or could we survive? Stick around, because we're about to find out second by second. The Earth is a massive merry-go-round, spinning at roughly 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. Gravity is the only thing keeping you buckled in, tethered to the surface. And suddenly, just for 10 seconds, that tether snaps. Your coffee rises from the cup, twisting into a perfect, shimmering sphere, hovering in midair. Silence blankets the world, literally. The air above you begins to expand, no longer compressed by gravity's invisible hand. Within a heartbeat, your eardrums rupture as the pressure in your head overwhelms the thinning atmosphere. A global pop felt simultaneously by every living thing. Friction disappears. Your feet slip across the floor like skates on an invisible ice rink. If you were walking, the next step launches you forward. If you were standing still, the floor pulls away beneath you. Your inner ear screams nothingness, sending vertigo, nausea, and panic racing through your body. Gravity is gone. Your sense of up and down evaporates. The world feels immediate, disorienting, intoxicating. Outside your window, the world starts to unhinge. A car lifts a few meters off the asphalt, tilting gently. A bird freezes mid-flight. Paper, leaves, even your coffee cup hangs motionless, weightless. At the equator, tangential velocity flings objects sideways at nearly 460 meters per second. Hundreds of meters of horizontal drift in just a couple of seconds. Buildings sway like toys. Pools of water curl into floating spheres, clinging to themselves as if they are alive. Streetlights, chairs, bicycles, all suspended. The sky deepens, shifting from familiar blue to bruised violet, almost black. Shadows twist and bend. Light fractures unnaturally. Every sight is uncanny, mesmerizing, terrifying. Planes in midair accelerate upward. Their wings still generate lift without weight. Flames form perfect blue spheres, burning slowly yet unpredictably, creating invisible pockets of toxic gas. The ground itself subtly swells, the crust stretching and releasing hidden tension. Massive fissures, some hundreds of meters wide, begin to open in city streets and forests alike. Satellites in orbit drift tens of kilometers from their usual paths. Rivers lift, streams curl upward. Cars, signs, bicycles spin and collide softly, a surreal ballet of physics gone rogue. Water, sweat, tears, everything clings to surfaces in gelatinous globules. A car in London glides slowly like a drifting toy, while another at the equator behaves like a supersonic projectile. The air trembles, thin and alive, the planet holding its breath. Every moment stretches, every second feels infinite. By the fifth second, the world is unrecognizable. The familiar rules are gone. You're a spectator in a high-speed, planetary-scale experiment where everything floats, swirls, and hovers, held only by momentum, surface tension, and the fragile scaffolding of physics. Subscribe before your coffee hits the floor again. By now, everything that began floating in the first 5 seconds has traveled far. At the equator, a human or object can drift 4 to 5 kilometers in a straight line, hovering 1.7 to 1.8 meters above the ground. Cars glide like ghostly projectiles, while a coffee cup in Quito moves supersonically compared to one in London. The curvature of the Earth is no longer hidden. It's a slow, terrifying revelation as objects continue along tangents, oblivious to what down means. The ocean's massive reservoirs of energy and momentum begin to bulge and detach. Coastal waters lift off their basins in enormous globules, revealing submerged cityscapes and shipwrecks as if time itself has paused. Giant tankers hover above the water, twisting slowly. Meanwhile, currents and eddies freeze mid-formation, and surface tension sculpts water into perfect spheres, spinning like planets of their own. Buildings are not designed for weightlessness. Skyscrapers sway, cracks ripple through foundations, and pipelines bulge with internal pressure. Gas and water pipes explode globally, creating fountains that arc hundreds of meters into the air. Streets become rivers of suspended debris. Streetlights, chairs, bicycles, even bicycles' tiny nuts and bolts float in a chaotic ballet. Airplanes, now weightless but still generating lift, accelerate upward unpredictably, smashing into one another or twisting in midair like rigid toys. Combustion in zero-G. Fire behaves differently without gravity. Flames no longer rise, they form perfect blue spheres. Some burn slowly, creating floating toxic pockets. Sparks cling to objects, ribbons of smoke curl in spirals, and molten metal from industrial furnaces hangs in globular beads, glowing ominously. As the atmosphere thins, rarely scattering shifts the sky to bruised purples and near black hues. Winds roar across the planet as pressure gradients try to equalize. The planet seems to hold its breath, every gust amplified. Humans are drenched in liquids clinging unnaturally, sweat, tears, and rain all stuck in gelatinous layers, coating faces, hair, and clothing. Breath becomes difficult, and the inner ear sends signals of vertigo, nausea, and panic that magnify as seconds tick. Satellites drift off course by 70 kilometers, breaking orbit silently. When gravity snaps back, thousands of fragments re-enter simultaneously, creating a global meteor shower of fire and debris. Trails of molten metal streak across the sky as if the heavens themselves are raining catastrophe. Crustal expansion. Without gravity, the Earth itself stretches. Fissures widen by hundreds of meters. Rivers rise, curl, and float mid-air. Volcanoes tremble, releasing pressure with geysers of molten rock and steam. Subterranean aquifers explode, sending geysers of fresh and brackish water skyward. Roads crack, bridges warp, and mountains quiver as the planet's crust decompresses and floats ever so slightly. Every living creature is subject to these forces. Humans are lifted, sometimes partially, sometimes fully. The inner pressure of blood and organs shifts catastrophically. Liquids cling to bodies, sometimes drowning victims in a single suspended droplet. Birds and insects spin helplessly in midair, their instincts useless. Even the microscale, like the blood moving through capillaries, suffers disorientation, magnifying nausea and shock. With each passing second, the energy stored in momentum, internal pressure, and displaced fluids grows. Every floating object, every suspended drop of water, every building on its wobbly foundation becomes a potential projectile when gravity finally snaps back. The world is a frozen symphony of chaos, waiting for the conductor's cue, the 11th second, the return of gravity. So, next time you spill your coffee, remember, it could have been the apocalypse.